Another person entering the room. Okay, but it's 12:03, so let's get started. So once again, welcome everybody. Fantastic. And as we go through the call, we'll hopefully deal with most questions that you may have, right now, or there may come some questions up, as the time evolves and something that hadn't occurred to you. So we'll try and deal with everything as we go through. So maybe just type something into the chat and we can moderate and hopefully filter that through to Jay. So let's not have any further waiting around. Jay, are you with us from Bangkok today? Are you with us live?
Yes, Peter. Thank you very much. I'm here.
Super. Jay, I was just saying to the people, I don't know if you heard that, we're very appreciative of you, taking the time, of course, to be with us, and that you're doing an amazing job there in Bangkok, but not just you, of course, the team that you've assembled, around you, who are, you're giving me, great, insights as to what they're doing and how they're performing. And that's something I think we should also appreciate, that you've got a great team of people supporting you. And you did a great job with the team, last week. So let's not just give you all the praise, because you deserve all that praise, I know, but the team as well. So pass that on. That, but maybe you just give us an insight as to how you've been assembling, this business model and everything, and share with us whatever you want to share. But once again, welcome on behalf of everybody, I'm sure, for being with us today. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and welcome everybody to the call. I will be today sharing with you a little bit more updates about the Bangkok operations, as well as then we're going to talk about generally about our progress as a company, both internationally as well as regionally, both in Europe as well as here in Asia. And then at the final part, before moving on to all the questions, we'll cover more about the actual tokenization and some of the key elements of how the ISF token will now be implemented into our operations. And obviously this week has already seen some of these things take place, and there will be more things happening in the next coming weeks. So it's a very exciting and interesting time for all of us, I believe. But let me share my screen here, and I could show you something. This is something that we're gonna be. It's still on the cutting board, so to say. So it still hasn't been fully finalized, but I'll walk you through a little bit of what we did here last week, and also something that once the traveling internationally eases up and the borders start to be open and you can access Thailand and come here and visit us, these are the kind of functions that we're looking to do more and more in the future. So we actually had a group of Cloud Horizon members who are based here in Thailand. Just before we move further down on the video, I want to make sure that you understand that we are very happy to welcome all of you on scheduled dates and tours to come and meet us here in Thailand. But unfortunately, right now, the travel restrictions have been very challenging, and anyone arriving to the country will basically need to go into a mandatory 2-week quarantine. So coming here for a quick visit is a bit challenging. But once things open up, then we are very happy and very, very welcoming for you to arrive and come and visit us as well. But basically what we had is we had about 40 members of Cloud Horizon here in Thailand who are already in the country to come and see us, and we were very happy to welcome them and show them what we're doing and how things have progressed at the facility. This video that you see here is going to be released in the next couple of days, and then you can also have that shared with your teams. And here's actually just to stop over here, and you were asking about and mentioning about the team, Peter. So I actually here actually works out as a great way to present. So if I just introduce you shortly some of the people that I'm working here locally with. On my left side, the gentleman next to me, Mr. Mr. Somyot, he's our project director. He's in charge of primarily managing and overseeing the entire operation at the facility, but his main role is to work on the business development and the project development side of things. Sunny, you can read his introduction on our website as well, but he comes with almost 35 years of real estate development and construction background. And he has been absolutely one of the key people involved in getting this Bangkok operation running as smoothly as it runs right now, and also being in charge of developing and doing all the construction and renovations that we have there. So whenever it comes to real estate, me and him, we've known each other and we've been working together for more than 15 years in the real estate development business here in Thailand. And we have built together hundreds of housing units, hundreds of houses and apartments all across the country. And he would be a person that if you wanted to build a skyscraper, he would be able to build that for you. So we have a very fortunate situation to have people like Sunny in our team. The gentleman next to him, Mr. Ung, Mr. Patipol, all of these Thai people, they all have a little bit complicated full names and then simple nicknames. So we go with the both. But Mr. Ung, he's our project manager. He's an engineer. He's looking after the operations on the day-to-day basis, and in charge of the operational part of the facility. Together with Ung, I've also been working with him for more than 15 years. He's been running construction sites with hundreds and hundreds of construction workers. And as I said, he's an engineer, so all the structural drawings and engineering drawings and everything, we have our in-house team to do that. Next to him is Mr. Karet. Karet is our Chief Financial Officer. As you can see here, he's dressed up, ready for work, like everybody else. We don't have nice, neat office jobs. Whenever we need people at the factory, everybody rolls up their sleeves and gets a helmet on and gets in there. So Karet, he was organizing a lot of things for this event, but he's our director for the finances and accounting and the administration part. He's also an engineer from his training, so both finance and engineer background. And then next to him is our manager for our administration department, Mr. Charles, originally from China, but been operating and living here in Thailand for many years. But he brings also the Chinese language skill into our team. And then next to Charles is our administrator at the site, Miss Joy, who is looking after all of the daily administration that takes place at the site. So this is how people are dressed up in a real day, not like fancy corporate photos with suits and white shirts, but as you can see, everybody's very hands-on working. So these are the people here in Thailand. As we are into this topic, I also want to mention a few words regarding our European team. We have in Europe a very professional, very well-established team, which is led by Mr. Andre Tops, our Chief Operating Officer based in the Netherlands. And then also next to him is our General Manager for Europe, Mr. Ono Ruiter. And Ono and Andre are both based in the Netherlands, which I have some news for you as well. And then we have a very professional team of executive coordinators who are operating in different countries around Europe. including at this moment pretty much every corner of Europe, from the north, from Scandinavia, going down all the way to the south of France, and covering everything between that, including UK and Austria, Germany, the Balkans, Belgium, the Netherlands, etc. So we have a very good team in place. All in all, at the Bangkok facility, we also have right now approximately 12 staff members. We are continuously now improving the operations, which means that we are training the people, we are educating them more. We are setting up our operations to run in 3 shifts. We are still missing 1 shift supervisor. Right now we have 2, which is a little bit of limitation for us, but we're gonna get there. And basically our recent weeks have been focusing on getting everything run as smoothly as possible, and just try to have the machines and the teams working functionally and efficiently. We've also done a lot of development work, including very basic things such as, for example, loading the machines. We're right now building systems which will allow us to load the machines faster, cool them down faster, potentially create more fuel out of every cycle, etc., etc. So this is now we're, to summarize for you in a few simple words, we have basically now got to a point in our operations in Bangkok where most of the renovations has been completed. We are still doing some works, but basically we are pretty much done with all the bigger works in terms of the refurbishment and renovation. We don't really have to fix that many things anymore. Now we have also maintained, we have done maintenance and fixing work for the machines. There's been quite a lot of that has been needed. And we are now building on top of the structure that we already have. So now we have fixed what we had, and now we're basically gonna start to improve it. One of these things is, for example, adding conveyor belts, which means that we don't necessarily need to use the forklifts anymore to load the plastic in the machine. We could have a conveyor belt similar to what you use in an airport when you go and you put your luggage into it. It will travel from the moment when you check in through the airport, and then finally arriving to the location where the baggage handlers take it out and then transport it to the plane. So what we really want to do is we want to get all these loading processes and these as efficient and functional as possible. But that's the normal day-to-day business that we are now building and developing. And we had a very good afternoon with the guests that were there. As we don't have large-scale meeting rooms available at the moment, so therefore what we've done is we set up a tent for the people, so it was more comfortable for them to visit us. And we walked them through the process, which starts from the plastic waste storage, where we use primarily plastic waste which is coming from the landfill, including plastic bags, other kind of wrapping materials, packaging products, and so on and so on. And then from there, the plastic waste is then being injected into the machines. And then at the end of it, we actually receive 2 types of oil from the machine. Let me see if I can show them here. Okay, we receive a light oil, which is very similar in character for diesel. And you can actually see it here in the video. You can see the bright yellow, orange kind of colorish fuel. That is the light oil. That's very similar to gasoline already when it comes out from the machine. And then on top of it, you can see the heavy oil, which is in character more similar to diesel. It's not really that dark than it looks like in the video right now because of the coloring, but you can see the difference on it. So we separate it. We can sell these two oils separately as a light oil and as a heavy oil, but also then we can mix them up and we can sell them to the oil refinery as a combination, which we call the grade C, which is basically a mixed both light and heavy together. Here we had some samples for the staff, sorry, for the guests, and yeah, so that was a good afternoon that we had with the guys, and we'll have these videos shared with you in the next day or so. What we have also done here on the left side of the facility, there's actually, after this video, there's still been some work that we've already done, but what you can see here is that on the left side, we have actually started clearing the land, which is here, where you can see the little huts and the opening. So that's now being cleared in order for us to then start developing the new structure, the new buildings on that one. And then you can obviously see the third machine, which was brought in. You can see the silver color reactor over here, and then you can see all the other blue color tanks and pipes and everything else that is there. So these were brought in a little bit earlier than that, and now they're being put together as well. So that was our activity exactly 1 week ago, last Sunday. Now let's go to some of the other updates here. So basically, one thing that we have started now after last Sunday, during this week, we have started the installation of the third machine. So these are now the electrical systems are being installed. The piling, which is going to be done here, has been started. So the machine is currently being installed, and we'll work on it as quickly as we can. We have the people there right now. They are actually working there even today. We're working 7 days a week, and our target is to get the machine running as quickly as possible. I would give it, let's say, somewhere between probably 3 to 4 weeks, and then we're going to start to see oil coming out of that machine. So that's basically where we are at this stage. So that's generally, I would say, the most important parts of our operations in Bangkok. What we are doing is we're obviously continuing the general development of the business over here. We have secured some new clients also for the fuel, and progressing with the business and the day-to-day operations in a very positive way and positive speed. Our target is still that within this year, we want to have one more machine located here in this facility. So before the end of this year, our plan is to have a total of 4 machines up and running, and then continuing the development during next year with another 6 machines at this specific location. We also have a couple of other new locations that has been offered for us here in Thailand over the last couple of weeks, which look very promising, very interesting. Too early to talk about them in more detail, but we can definitely say that we are now picking up a sort of a very positive momentum and energy on the business. And you always know that once you get the ball rolling, then that's going to create the action is going to create more action, and more energy is created from that, and we can see it happening already. The word is going out that we are in business, and a lot of people are approaching us who are looking for collaborations, and we are obviously very open for that and always seeking to do that. At the same time, I'm very happy to announce you that we have, since the last couple of days, we are now officially also incorporated and registered in Europe. We just signed the documents and we received already from the government of the Netherlands the confirmation that we have now, our first European companies are now fully operational and registered in the Netherlands. So our European head office for Corsair Group is based in Amsterdam, in Holland. And this will act as our primary location for our central functions in the European region. Also, we have now registered the company which will operate and own the operations in Slovenia. The way that this will be done is that the actual company, the corporate, will be based in the Netherlands as well. And then this company will have a branch based in Slovenia. In this way, it'll be easier to manage. Everything that we do in Europe will basically function under the Dutch law, and all of our companies are based in Amsterdam. So I don't see that we're going to be needing a head office, physical visiting office there right away, but once the businesses grow, then we will definitely do that as well. So our intention is to have the European head office in Amsterdam, and then the sort of a global and Asian office based here in Bangkok. So that's now moving things forward. Do you have any questions at this point, any of these subjects, Peter, or anyone else who maybe wants, before we move on to the tokenization and other things?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty clear, Jay, that you know, what you're doing is, you know, very structured and also very detailed, but also to be operating, as you say now, globally in, you know, certain jurisdictions, you need to take care of, you know, certain bureaucratic procedures like registration in that area, and then, you know, working, you know, within the confines of, you know, the law and everything else. So, you know, you're taking, you know, very measured and very appropriate steps to, you know, build the business globally, but build it in a way that, you know, putting in the good foundation so that, you know, everything's working and will work, you know, properly, you know, as we evolve as a company organization. But of course, this is just, you know, your side of the business, the fuel operation, and our relationship with the network into that is just purely through what the network, you know, gathers together and comes to you and say, look, we have this amount of money that we want to, you know, put into, you know, these projects. So of course, you know, what you're doing is completely separate in that sense from, you know, the network. I'd just like to, you know, make sure people fully understand that, but it's very important for us in a working relationship from the network with you that what you're doing is correct and done in a way that has a long-term, you know, business view and attitude. And also, I think, you know, when people are looking at businesses, sometimes they get impatient because they don't understand all the work and diligence that has to go into building a business properly. And, you know, maybe just to go back a little bit to the Bangkok project, Jay, where, you know, there's been so much work, you know, being done, first of all, with the two machines to get them up to the standard that you wanted to get them up to, and getting the whole facility up to the you know, the standard that you wanted to get it up to. And then now bringing in the third machine as well. And you're saying by the end of the year, hopefully a fourth machine. So that would also restrict what people must understand as well, the capacity to produce fuel. So maybe you could just, you know, give us a little bit of
Sure.
An overview on that, how you see the fuel production coming into line, because at the end of the day, we'll relate that later to the tokenization aspect, but at the end of the day, when we're producing more fuel, we've got more potential profits and therefore more potential, you know, tokenization.
Absolutely. Yeah, basically right now, so just to a short reminder for everybody. So one of these production machines is capable of processing approximately 120,000 kilos of plastic waste into approximately 60,000 liters of fuel per month. Now, with 2 machines, that's 120,000 liters a month. With 3 machines, we are closing to about 200,000 liters per month. We have basically now, until pretty much today, and let's say to the end of the month, we've been running on a very slow, very small capacity because of the work that we have done with the machines, the work that we have done with the facility itself, and then installing the 3rd machine now and so on. So until so far, the production has been very small. We are going to be having now at the end of this month, we're going to have our first official monthly report with all the productions published as well. And as I mentioned before, now the renovations start to be at the end of it. So now we can also foresee that the production will start to be more stable. We've been running the machines as much as we have been able to at the same time, but we have obviously been nowhere near the actual capacity of the machines. But we're getting there. So this is the reality of the day-to-day business. One of the very important things, which was something that we didn't really anticipate in the beginning, but we had to react to it, was that once we did our oil test, the laboratory study for the fuel that comes out from these machines, we actually realized that it's actually very, very light. And if you do your research on fuels, there is a very crucial element in all types of fuels called the flash point. Flash point basically means that at which sort of temperature of exposure to temperature does your fuel start to burn. And there are 2 types of fuels. There are flammable fuels, which are basically, well, gasoline is a great example. It's something that if you take a match or a lighter and you put a cigarette lighter close to the fuel or something close to gasoline, it'll go up like this, right? It'll basically explode. The gases coming from it will ignite very quickly, and that's a flammable type of fuel. Then you have other types of fuel which are called combustible fuels, and these are basically oils like diesel. You need to really warm it up. You need to put your match very close to it and have it warmed up a little bit before it really starts to burn. And it won't explode in that way. It'll just start to burn very slowly. Now, when we did the study for the fuel, we actually realized that our flash point is very low. And this means that by character, our fuel is more closer to gasoline than it is to diesel. And at that point, we also realized that, okay, well, that being the case, we have to be really careful when we are running the machines with any sort of sparks or flames or any type of high temperatures happening in the area, because there are gases coming from these machines while they're operational, and those gases are flammable, meaning that there is a real explosion risk if exposed to fire, for example. And you know, it was very small in the beginning, but we did have guys doing welding, doing some roof work while we were running the test batches. And that's obviously a big no-no. You can't do that. And even like with the fuel tanks where we are right now, we don't even allow the staff to have their cell phones next to the tanks because there are gases coming out of that. In many of the gas stations here in Thailand, even when you go and fill up your car, you're not allowed to use your cell phone when you are in the gas station. Well, we are basically a gasoline factory. So yes, you are definitely not allowed to do any kind of work that creates sparks or or has any kind of risk of injury or accident. So therefore, whenever we've been doing some of these metal and steel works, we simply cannot run the machines. It's just not possible. So therefore, we have been sort of in a very limited production until now, and this is something that will now increase. But obviously also our business plan has been made in a way that we have time for testing and getting everything up and running in the right way and improving it as we go. We have, as a reminder for everybody, also with all of our private shareholders and private investors who have invested and are taking part in owning this facility in a similar way like Cloud Horizon. Our target is that by the end of next year, end of 2021, we are going to reach the full capacity of this production facility with the total of 10 machines. So until then, everything is basically built up, and as quickly as we can, of course. But by the end of next year, we are looking to realize and achieve the full production capabilities and capacities of this machine, this facility, and everything else before that is just a great bonus. So however we can do and how much we can do per month, the better for everybody. But believe me, we are doing our best to get everything running as quickly and efficiently and productively as possible.
Yeah, well, that's very good, for the people, to understand, Jay, that it's something that we're building. We haven't got to, the final, as you say, goal of, the 10 machines yet. So as we grow towards that target, then there will be, more weeks or more months where there'll be a higher production, and then maybe fall back because there's other work has to be taking place to install maybe 2 machines or something. We understand that. It's good that people will understand that process. And it's, it's like anything. When you're building a real business, there has to be certain procedures, certain, routes that you have to follow. And, people who have been in business will understand that, how you grow a business. So it's important that the business is growing and those steps are being taken, absolutely. But I think the other side of the coin, so to speak, is that you mentioned the fuel being, a very combustible fuel. With a low flash point, but that also has another side. It's got a very positive side to it as well. It means it's a higher quality fuel as well, I think. Is that?
Yes, it's very light. Yes. As a crude oil, it's very light. It's much lighter than, for example, the Brent light sweet crude, which is the sort of a market leader, the most premium type of crude oil on the market.
So that means that the market out there is very, very willing to take this fuel off your hands.
Absolutely, absolutely, and also in terms of refining operations, which is a very big part of our operations and our plan for the future, where we are ourselves looking to refine this oil to become your traditional consumer products like gasoline, diesel, kerosene, jet fuel. These are all things that we are looking to do ourselves and then distribute and sell them. So this works out very well for that as well.
Yeah. Does that mean you get a higher percentage of those very commercial products from the crude fuel that you're producing?
Yes. Well, it's a high expectation right now. We haven't done the refining studies ourselves yet. We'll get to that soon, and then we can say for sure. But that is based on everything that we see right now. That is the estimation.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fantastic news, because with those commercial products, then it's obviously going to give more profitability, et cetera, and make the business more healthy. Yeah, great. That's fantastic news, Jay. So everything that's got on one side a bit of a disadvantage, it may be just slowing us down right now. Ultimately, it's a good thing because we're producing a better product.
Exactly. I mean, all of it serves its purpose on when we look at the big picture and how we're moving forward on this one. So that's all very good.
Yes. Well, that's I suppose a good message for, many people, phoning in today, zooming in today, is look at the big picture, guys, here, what's happening, and know that it is happening and see the big picture. Fantastic. Okay, Jay, is there anything else you'd like to, cover now on that aspect, or do you want to just move on to, the tokenization and just maybe clarify how you
I would say let's go to the tokenization now, and we can look that through. We've been now about 36 minutes on the call, so that's maybe about a halfway. So if we do that and then we go to questions, then we don't keep everybody. We don't keep you. We don't want to keep you guys hanging out for no reason. So I know everybody's busy spending their Sunday and relaxing. So we'll try to keep this tight and efficient. So let me walk you through the tokenization plan. And this is something I want to mention before we get started with this. First of all, Frank Ricketts, Wayne Dobson, and the team at Cloud Horizon and myself, we've been working on the plan of tokenization for the ISF token for quite some time. I mean, months and months already. And I believe that now we're starting to come to the actual activation of this plan. And I try to keep this as simple as possible. And basically, I have been asked by Cloud Horizon to release this concept and this plan and how we're going to move forward with it. So this is not something that is coming. It's not that the tokenization is not coming from Corsair. It's coming from Cloud Horizon. But we've been working together on this, and I've been asked by Cloud Horizon to present it for you in the most simplest way here today, and that I'm happy to do. And Cloud Horizon is the issuer of the ISF token, and we're working very closely together with Corsair and Cloud Horizon. But to walk you through...
Jay, you're sharing your screen just to let you know from the last slide. Maybe I just want to let you know that.
Are we... Hold on. Are you seeing the white slide with the Corsair logo?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, then that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
So basically, just to walk this one through, and I'll try to keep it very simple, summarized, and packed into a simple presentation. So number one, the tokenization has a few steps, and what we are looking right now is the first step of this tokenization plan and strategy. And it starts from Corsair Group developing and managing plastic waste to fuel production facilities. And there's a bit of a typo there. Don't worry about that. Our first production facility is located in Bangkok, Thailand. Now, Cloud Horizon and Corsair have formed an agreement where Cloud Horizon co-finances together with other private equity investors the development of the Bangkok production facility. Peter, are you seeing both logos, Cloud Horizon and Corsair?
Yes, we are. Okay. Thank you, Jay. Yeah.
Good. Now, in exchange for the agreed financing, Cloud Horizon receives 33%, so 1/3 of the business profits of this Bangkok production facility. We are going to be operating in a very similar way with other projects as well, but they will always be looked at project per project. Now, as per the agreement, as Cloud Horizon receives profits from this Bangkok production facility, Corsair will take those profits, which belong to Cloud Horizon, and purchase ISF tokens from the open market with those funds. So when the Bangkok project makes money and the profits from that business are paid out to all the shareholders and all the partners of that business, Cloud Horizon is set to receive 33% of those profits as per its investment agreement as well. Now, Cloud Horizon has asked that Corsair would manage these funds and go straight into the market and spend those funds at the market to buy ISF tokens out from the open circulation. So these funds will go directly into the open market for anybody who would like to sell their ISF tokens at that moment. Once these tokens have been purchased from the open market by Corsair, these tokens will be burned and they will never ever again enter the circulation. The term burned basically means, in technical terms, that we will then delete, we will then erase those keys, which means that those tokens will never be again transferred anywhere. They cannot be transferred. We will destroy those keys. In the same way, like you have heard stories that somebody lost their Bitcoin wallet, or they lost 100 Bitcoins in many years ago, and now they're gone. Nobody can access those coins anymore. There's no access. In the same way, we will intentionally burn, we will intentionally delete the keys, destroy the keys for these tokens, which means that every time when Corsair buys ISF tokens from the open exchange, these tokens are then out, they're gone. They are never coming back into the circulation, which means that on one side, there is more demand, which is created. And on the other side, there is now less supply, because these tokens are being taken out from the market and they will never ever enter the market again. All of these together are made in order to start to increase the value and the price for the ISF. Now, as more oil is being produced at the facility, this means that more business profits are generated and more demand is created for the ISF token on the open market. Additionally to this, Corsair will also purchase ISF from the open market in advance at its own discretion. So this means that obviously the more oil that we are producing, the more sales we're doing, the more business and more profits that are generated, the more funds will flow into the ISF market. But also additionally, Corsair Reserves Company is buying ISF from the open market, which we plan to use in the future for other purposes, for trading, as well as then we're buying them for the purpose of securing as much ISF into our possession as possible. These are basically futures that we are buying for the fuel and for the profits which are owned by Cloud Horizon. So there are basically two flow of funds to the ISF market. Number one, from the profits which are owned by Cloud Horizon, and number two, purchases which are done directly by Corsair. Now, this is the first step. Now, once the market for the ISF token has been established, we can start to activate the second step of the tokenization plan, which means that we can then start to also accept ISF as an actual payment currency in the oil sales. Right now, as you can understand, most of the demand on the open market, as we foresee it right now, is coming from Corsair and from the sales of the fuel. But once there starts to be more demand, also with everything that Cloud Horizon is now doing with its web shop and all the different products and the third-party partners over there, there is more and more demand that is now going to be created in the coming months for the ISF. And once this has been better established, then we can start to look on the second stage, which is then to start using the ISF token also as an actual currency in the oil sales. And I want to highlight that Corsair, together with Cloud Horizon, we are together developing the plans for the wider use of the ISF token, including all the various business areas where Corsair operates. So to keep it very simple, to keep it very summarized, if I would explain this to any new person for the first time, I would explain it in the following way. Let me summarize it for you one more time. Number one, there's a company called Corsair Group, which develops and manages plastic waste to fuel production facilities. Our first production facility is right now operational in Bangkok, Thailand. Cloud Horizon and Corsair Group have an agreement where Cloud Horizon is co-financing this Bangkok production facility. And in exchange for its investments, Cloud Horizon receives 33% of the business profits of the Bangkok production facility. Now, as per the agreement, Corsair will use the profits which belong to Cloud Horizon to purchase tokens, ISF tokens from the open market. And once these tokens have been purchased, they will be burned and they will no longer then be in the circulation. As more oil is being produced, more business profits are generated and more demand is created for the ISF token on the open market. Additionally to that, Corsair will also purchase ISF from the open market in advance at its own discretion. And once we have established in more proper way the ISF market, then we can move towards the second phase of the tokenization plan, which means then a wider use of the ISF token also as a currency in the oil sales. And Corsair and Cloud Horizon are together working to develop these plans and implementing the ISF token in all of these different business areas that Corsair operates. That's it.
No, it's very, very clear, Jay. I get it, and it's always having it repeated a few times and just fully understanding it. But maybe just to break it down in the steps that you've outlined there, so that people really fully get it. Right now, if like it's again the beginning of an evolution where we're going to be getting towards. We want to get to that stage where we have the liquidity on the ISF, just like we have the liquidity now, for example, on Bitcoin. If somebody rolled up, to you in Bangkok and said, "Look, Jay, we want to, purchase so much of your production of the fuel. Actually, I've got a whole load of Bitcoin here. Can you accept Bitcoin, for payment on that?" I think you'd probably say absolutely all day long, because you can then go to the market and basically liquidate that Bitcoin instantly, like you could do with Ethereum and all the other, coins out there. So obviously that's the step we want to get to. If somebody rolls up and says, "Here you go, here's whatever million ISF," you're going to be going, "Well, that's all very fine, but I need to be able to pay my bills and pay the staff and everything else." So in that general, sense of the fuel production, you need to have the liquidity aspect. That's how I understand it. But at the same time, what's going on to the market to purchase the ISF is the profit sharing aspect, the relationship, because Cloud Horizon have helped set up this business together with the other partners to bring it to the step that it's in now. Then Cloud Horizon is going to be given, basically the agreement is 33% of the profit sharing of the business, and that will be administered by you guys, whichever department will take care of that, to buy the ISF from the market, and those ISF will not ever return to the market. The keys will be destroyed, as I so understand. But also to bring more ISF onto the market, you're also at your discretion, Corsair's discretion, going to be purchasing ISF at your discretion for whatever purposes that you deem necessary. Now that actually brings in, for me, a very interesting, case of scenarios, because now you're going to be in an ability to react to what's happening as you see it playing out on the markets, with the oil and the rising and the falling prices of oil, and being able to capitalize on that. Maybe you could go into that aspect, why you would be buying ISF that you can use for the future, a different category of ISF. Please maybe explain that, because I think that's a very interesting possibility when markets allow you to exploit that, possibility.
Right, well, that is obviously a strategy that we're still working, and we have to kind of see where things developed on it. But we started buying now this week already. The first purchases were made, and we see that as we are planning to implement the ISF in a wider scale throughout the different business operations that Corsair will be doing, we're looking to implement that as a currency in there, and this is a good moment to actually have ISF purchased. We believe that there's going to be a good future for this token, and depending on how the things obviously progress with Cloud Horizon and how what kind of things we can put together with Frank, then we can see different types of usability for it. But I definitely see that the ISF value, when implemented correctly through all of these different business areas, will go higher, and we want to be also there securing as much of it right now as possible.
Absolutely. And how do you see the oil market, right now? Is it a time when it's a good time to keep your supply, to keep your what you are producing, or is it a good time, to be selling it, or is it sort of a pretty average time? How is the oil market, looking, and how do you see it evolving over the next weeks and months? Obviously, we got the situation that we've all been in, which has slowed down the economies, and now probably we're getting to a phase where the economies are speeding up again as business picks up in general.
Right. Well, basically now, just to give you a bit of a summary from the global call, as we are looking at our business operations as Corsair specifically, let me just share for you very briefly from here. As you opened this topic, give me 1 second.
Yeah, you've obviously been doing your homework, in other words, as you usually do on these matters. You've probably got a lot of files, a lot of data, a lot of information already processed.
Yeah, let me just I'll just kind of remind you all where we're coming from. So when we're looking at the full scope of the 5-step business plan that Corsair Group operates in, the plastic waste to fuel is the first step of the business plan. The second step to that is our development and management of fuel reserves, which basically means that we are, at this very moment, we are both looking to sell our fuel that we produce, but also we're looking to buy more fuels. And on the long term, the companies, which is called Corsair Reserve, which is a company both based in the Netherlands as here in Thailand, will be looking to buy as much advanced biofuels that it can get its hands into. And by doing that, our plan is to be at the market and buy specifically oils which are generated from plastic waste. And then once we step into our number 3 business area, which is the refining and purification, then we are going to take all these different types of fuels and refine them, and as we discussed earlier in this call, create those commercial traditional fuels such as gasoline and diesel. So our intention is to really, in the long term, to be utilizing all of the fuel that we make inside the group of companies. Because why would we sell our raw crude oil for somebody else if we can ourselves refine it and make it into gasoline and sell it out through our gas stations or our service stations, as we call them here. Why would we give it for somebody else to do? We're basically giving away a big part of our business. Right now, it's very good that we're doing it. We're creating references and we are creating cash flow. But once we have all of these 4 steps in place, we have here a factory which is making oil from plastic. We have here the machinery, which is then, or the tanks where we can store that fuel and also buy the fuel from other such producers, and then take that oil and refine it ourselves into gasoline and diesel. And so why would we give away that business for somebody else? We have no need to do that. As I said, right now, it's justifiable. But once we have these things in order, we want to keep that business to ourselves. And that's where the number 4, which is then the international network of service stations, comes into very important play. That means that we want to have Corsair gas stations, using that term so everybody understands, in all the countries where we operate, starting from Thailand. And these service stations will be both there to fill up your electric vehicle batteries. They will be running 100% on renewable energy, primarily with solar. And we're going to focus on distributing fuels which are either generated from the solar power or they are made from other people's garbage. That's basically what we want to focus on. Obviously, then we have our 5th step, which is the Project X, which is without a doubt the future of transport fuels for our global market. But that is something that we're going to be doing the official announcement later this year. To give you an idea about the time frame, so number 1, that's what we are doing already. Number 2, we are now starting to do it. We have, as of today, we have about 70,000 liters of fuel reserves in our disposal. We just ordered another 300,000 liters more. So that means that we're going to be putting more tanks so we can store more fuel. Number 3, the purification and refining, that one we are starting now next month. So during October, we're going to actually start to refine the fuels already. And then the first service station, I'm really pushing as much as we can to have the first one of those open here in Thailand during next year, 2021. So that would mean that you could actually stop in with your car to have it filled with one of our fuels. So I hope this kind of answers your question there. Yeah. The oil markets in general are moving, I would say, into a very bullish market, which means that the price is moving up. There was a bit of a downtrend over the last couple of weeks because of the new announcements and speculations and the fears of new lockdowns and such. But all in all, as we're looking at the market, it's looking very good for us right now. By the time that our production starts to be in a larger scale, which is towards the end of next year, then we foresee that the fuel market will be in a very good situation. And also, like I said, we are looking to work with all kinds of fuels that are going to be important in the future. Now, this is also something that maybe people should remind yourself that we are not really a typical traditional oil company. We're not. We produce, as of right now, we produce advanced biofuel, which is a fossil fuel, but we're not drilling anything, right? Yes. We are producing a fossil fuel product from the raw material, the resources, which is already put on ground, which is already there in the landfill, right? So when people say, but yeah, but you're gonna be, competing with the electric vehicles. No, actually we're not. We're actually gonna be very happy to be part of that motion and that market as well. And the Project X is going to be very much moving that towards that direction, not Not that we're going to be manufacturing electric vehicles, whatever, but we're going to be definitely serving them. We have no issues of that. We're not competing with anybody. We want to be in the cutting edge of all the future fuels. That's what you read there under our logo. Corsair is the future fuels development company. Our primary and most important mission areas is, number one, we're cleaning the environment from the plastic garbage. That's number one. And we are turning that waste into fuel, which we can use to power our daily lives. Number two, we want to make better quality and more environmentally friendly fuels, specifically fuels which are less polluting and creating less air pollution, right? So that's also why you can see in our logo the letters AIR, which are being highlighted, and that's referring to our future business with the fuel purification. So we will definitely be creating fuels which are better for the air quality and less polluting to our atmosphere. And then from there, coming into to the distribution of these fuels, and finally to the Project X, which is going to be something quite mind-blowing when we get this one out in the open. So we want to be there. Number one, cleaning the environment. Number two, we want to be creating fuels which are better for the air quality. Number three, we want to be there together with the other organizations around the world, fighting against the climate change and the global warming, and then being in the cutting edge of the revolution of creating fuels for the future. So it's very important that we also identify ourselves that we're not a typical fossil fuel company. We will never be drilling oil from the ground, never. Yeah. But we will be using the energy which is already at the landfills, which is a waste at our planet right now.
Well, Jay, again, what I love about, these calls that we get into with you, we get into this sort of bigger picture, so to speak. And, this is for me just so inspiring personally. I can't speak for anybody else on the call, but like, this is where we want to be getting to. This is where we want to be going to, getting into these other, technologies. But first of all, because I always like to be clear, because sometimes when we have these calls, sometimes people misunderstand things. And I really just want to be clear on this, that Cloud Horizon is just like any other, a group of or investors or whoever who can potentially be involved in any of these projects, because what you're doing is, something, separate, and we're very privileged, I feel, to be able to work in the harmonious cooperation, that we do, to be able to participate. Our first working relationship and project is obviously the Bangkok project, the plastic to waste fuel, or plastic waste to fuel. And of course, we're expanding that operation globally. And Cloud Horizon, the Amplivo community, as a group of entrepreneurial people with, the environment, with their heart, and wanting to get involved in environmentally sustainable projects, that this is our first, kickoff. But it's just, to be clear that this is not owned by Cloud Horizon or something. It's a separate thing. What Cloud Horizon is able to work with you guys, with Corsair, in potentially any of these projects that come online. And I love also the possibility that other technologies, other projects can come online, like you're talking about, the projects for cleaner air and stuff like that. But of course, when that moment arises that you would present the possibility for not just Cloud Horizon, but other, investors to participate in that program, then at the end of the day, if Cloud Horizon want to, get involved in it, they need to come with, a substantial amount of, funds, money to be able to do that and get a profit sharing relationship probably. Now, again, this is the reason I'm saying this is because, the people on this call, Most of you will probably be involved in Cloud Horizon. So I feel that this is our responsibility. We've got to create the business for Cloud Horizon. We've got to get out there. We've got to start, building our business, promoting our business, so that we're, first of all, developing our network, but also that we're, getting our commissions paid and everything else, but also then the Cloud Horizon have money from their net profits from our activity to invest in all of these projects. We cannot expect as a network to be participating in these projects if we don't have a budget from the network to do that. And the only way that we can get a budget for the network to do that is by being active and doing stuff. So for people who are sitting back and passively waiting for everything to unfold in front of them, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to, well, it can happen, but it's not going to happen as quick as it potentially could if we're passive. So we got to get engaged. And I think this information that you share with us, Jay, certainly gives me, the confidence and the ability to want to go out and promote and just be very proud of what we do. And I'd love to be, involved in some of these other projects, like, the cleaner air technology, because that is a huge problem in Bangkok, but also many other cities around the world. And maybe you could just touch on that one. I'm sorry to burden you with all these.
Let's leave that for the next call. Let's talk about that. That'll be a call of itself, I would say. Let's save that a little bit.
Just give us the idea of how big a potential that is on that technology.
Well, there's just to 1 minute summary from that. Basically, if you look at the global situation with air pollution, there is approximately 4 million people per year that die as a cause of air pollution around the world. So when you compare those numbers into the COVID numbers, that everybody's been obviously affected. To be honest, when my children, that I had 2 of, when they, for example, go out, I'm more concerned about the air that they are breathing outside than them catching coronavirus. And especially in locations like Asia, Africa, India, China, any developing country is hugely affected by this. And we had here in Thailand, out of all the countries, actually this year around February, on several occasions, we had the worst air quality in the world. And that meant that when you look at the results, they are testing the air quality continuously for the amount of these dust particles in it. And it was so bad that the government made an official announcement to close all the schools, for example, in Bangkok, for about 4 days. And they didn't want children to go out. Children, elderly people were told to avoid going out entirely. And one of the biggest contributors to this pollution is a small dust particle called particle matter 2.5, PM 2.5. You might heard this PM 2.5 term, and if you put it in a Google right now, you get a lot of information about it. And this particle is so small that it will actually go through most of the normal face masks. And if I remember correctly, it's about 1/30th the size of a human hair. And when you breathe it, it goes into your lungs, and it eventually goes into your blood system and into your heart, your brain, and causes for you cancer and many other serious illnesses. And about 75% of this particle is actually coming from the traffic fuels emissions. And I had a meeting earlier this year with the governor of Bangkok. And Bangkok is a city for, nobody knows exactly how many, but let's say somewhere about 12 million people. There is no official clear data. It could be 15, it could be even more than that, nobody knows. But I asked from him, what are the the largest problems that he faces in Bangkok right now. And he said very clearly, it is the air pollution, the traffic, and then the garbage. These are the three biggest problems. And we have acquired a technology and a process from Europe, which allows us to significantly reduce the amount of the PM2.5 emissions in fuels. This technology has been around for several years already. We are bringing it into our concept right now, and our plan is that all of the fuels that we produce would be up to 90% lower in the PM2.5 emissions than all the other fuels that you buy from the gas station. And when I mentioned this to the local government here, they were extremely happy about it and extremely excited. And they wanted to actually put a press conference or press release about it already at that point. That we needed to hold them back a little bit, say, let's do the studies first. And my intention is that I would say probably around the beginning of next year, what we'll do is we want to have 2 local Bangkok government buses, and we want to have the other bus run on their normal regular diesel, and we'll measure the air pollution. And then we'll have the other bus running with our diesel, the Corsair diesel. And we can then compare exactly there and then how much is the difference with this. And the way that I see this going in the future, especially in regards to Bangkok, and this is what we are already discussing here with the local government, is that we would like to be able to take the plastic garbage from the Bangkok people, collected by the local garbage trucks, and then convert that plastic waste into oil, and then refine that oil to become, for example, diesel, which is lower in the PM2.5 than all the other fuels available, and then have those same garbage trucks, which were collecting the waste initially, to be running with that fuel. So this is the target, to get the garbage from the people with garbage trucks, which are eventually running on that same fuel, and now using the garbage as their fuel while releasing less pollution into the atmosphere. This is where we want to get to.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic, circular economy. Like, as you say, everything, then powered by the garbage, so to speak, turn the trash into cash. But also, I mean, it's not a long stretch of the imagination, Jan. I know we could do a completely separate call on this, but it's a relevant point, I think, that, of course, we're in a very early stage of it, and we're not saying that this is exactly how it's going to play out. We just want to say that we're obviously thinking about this and looking at the potential here and exploring prudently as we move forward the possibilities to go down this route and if it's viable, et cetera, et cetera. But I can, to see obviously that the studies are there to back up the potential with this. But also, I think it would be then, the next step, if we did have, 2 buses running, and obviously one bus would show, yeah, we got a dramatic reduction in the PM2.5, then we take that then to the larger scale, where a lot of the old buses and trucks, transporting goods around, the country, are also using this, the more polluting, with the, the PM2.5, then that fuel that's initially being produced by Corsair, that fuel then being sold at the gas station or wherever location, could also partly, be tokenized, bringing it back to what we were talking about earlier, again, creating an even bigger demand for the ISF. So, I see this as really, moving forward in a very interesting, direction, over the next years, which, would say to me as well that it would seem to be a very smart idea to be holding on to the ISF for a longer period of time, or as long as possible. and I'm going to come to that before we finish the call, but that would be also something that you could see being implemented in your strategy further down the road.
Yeah, these are things that we're definitely working together with Frank at the moment, and obviously you, Peter, as well, being involved in these conversations. So we'll see where we get with all this, but the collaboration is definitely there, and I want to say also thank you for all of you leaders, and obviously Frank and Wayne in the Cloud Horizon company, and all the members and the supporters.
The call, today, and some have dropped on, dropped off. I see some people had connections issues, but also there was a couple of questions came in, but maybe not so relevant, for your area of. Maybe it is in some part. One gentleman, Rene, was asking about the airdrops. Now, we covered this extensively on a call with John in the middle of the week, Rene, and basically it's been a huge amount of work to finalize the tokenization agreement, the way that that's going to work with relationship to Corsair and Cloud Horizon. Now come with the absolutely perfect scenario with 33% profit sharing going back in to buy the tokens from the market. Very, very happy with that. Makes total sense. Now, with respect to the airdrops, and also I would add on to this the redeem rate incrementally rising. We've seen the ISF, the free loyalty point FLP redeem rate rise from 2 cents to 2.25 cents, and that's something that will keep incrementally rising as you add more machines, add more value to the business, because when the business becomes more valuable, the other side of the business has to reflect that as well. So that's a strategy also linked with the airdrop. When the airdrops will exactly be taking place, that is something that I know is now being worked on. It's not that we could put everything out there together right now. There are certain discussions had to be done first, and that area with respect to airdrops, I think there's going to be also some information released over the next weeks when those are going to take place, and also with respect to redeem rates and stuff like that, so that everybody's pretty clear. We're very clear now as to the tokenization relationship between Cloud Horizon and Corsair. That's 100% clear, but over now the airdrops and stuff like this, now we'll get clarity over that, because it wasn't the first priority that needed to be done. I'm just looking here if we have any other questions. No, I think we're pretty good on the questions right now. And if anything comes in, I'll just pop it up here. So again, everybody, fantastic that you're being with us, and I can see many people with the eyebrows think processing this information. Maybe that you need to go through it a few times, because there's a lot of information today that we've shared with you, but it's very clear to me that we're definitely on track. We're definitely moving down the track, and things are developing and opening up in front of us. The Bangkok project is really just the first of many potential projects that we, as the community of entrepreneurs representing on the Amplivo community and the Ecovo platform, but also with these other projects that you talk about in the future, Jay, the clean air and everything else. This is just the perfect platform, the Ecovo platform, which we want to see as being the platform out there in the social media world where people go to find out about these environmental issues, about these huge, concerns like what you're saying there, 4 million people potentially every year being affected, by the PM 2.5 particle in relation to COVID, which is getting so much attention. It's like, let's bring this discussion out to the world and just put it out there. So again, our involvement in all of this is only in relation to what we can, physically, as the Amplivo community, put into projects, and that's related to our efforts in the field. So it's not just from our side, we're entrepreneurs. That means that we go out and we create business and we build business. We don't sit back passively observing stuff. And that's great that, people do that and everything else. But if we really want to expect results and expect this to move forward and to participate and get momentum from this and also to benefit from this, then we got to, be entrepreneurs. So we got to think like entrepreneurs, and we got to engage and develop our businesses. So that's my message to the community that's listening in today. People, we got everything in place now, from, what the company have done, Cloud Horizon done, what Coursera are doing, that fantastic working relationship, which at the end of the day, our job's the easiest job in the world. All we got to get out there is just open our mouth and talk to people about this. Everything else in play. And then just get through the questions, just get through processing the information for the people. And it's just a sensible choice for them to want to get involved in these fantastic projects. So with that, I think that we can wind up the call. I don't see any more questions coming in here. So I think we're all, pretty good on that. So Jay, once again, a privilege, to have you on the call, and you've done a great job for us. And we look forward to having you on very soon again. I hope we're not going to, be putting too much pressure on your busy schedule with that, but, amazing. Thank you. You want to say anything just to say goodbye to the people before we finish off? But, once again, thanks so much. Yeah,
thank you everybody for joining us today. And I want to really send my best for all the great people around the world that are working together with us on daily basis, all the executive coordinators and all of our staff, and obviously all the members and leaders from the network.